There it is. We're live right now. Yay!
All right.
So my brother Michael, you know what I was realizing this morning? That you and I have seen each other twice, but it's never been like I always assume that it's like in the US or whatever, but it's always been in other countries. So
Mhm.
we first met in Switzerland and then we saw each other again in
Mhm.
Senegal. So I was like, huh, that's
Mhm.
interesting. We've
Yes,
been
Senegal, Geneva, yes.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so you're gonna teach me some Swedish now, okay?
Okay.
So my first question is
Mhm.
for people of African descent in Sweden, is there a particular way that y'all talk to each other? Because you lived in the US, you know, black people, we take a language and we make it do what it do.
Yeah, we have a few African American imports.
Okay, like what?
Yes, like we say, we have words for my brother and sister and these sorts of words. So my brother would be Brusan,
Busan?
Brusan.
Busan?
Yeah, and I'm speaking Swedish with a strong southern Swedish dialect. So
Okay.
we're
Busan.
in the south of Sweden, and yes, Brusan. Brother would be Bror. Uh,
Wait, say it
sister
again.
would be
Real
sister would be syster or
sister.
Syran. Yes, Syran is like my sister. Brusan is like brother. Sister is like sister, and yes,
Okay.
indeed.
So
So
count to 10 for me in
to 10,
mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Man, we can't learn. Oh, that's so fast. Slower.
So 1 is ett,
X.
2 is 12,
12.
12,
Fail.
t, t, v, l,
To
12.
belt.
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
I was
last thing after you have to sound like you're swallowing something.
okay, what's 3?
Yes. 3 is tre,
Tre.
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 With my southern Swedish, Skånish, Scandia dialect. Yes, indeed, Scanish.
Okay. Now what's 4?
4,
Behang.
4, 4, r, r, 4, 4, 4, 4.
And 5?
Yes, you got it. You're learning some Swedish. You're speaking Swedish. You could
What's 5?
you could you can resettle now.
All right, the
Yes,
last one. Tell us how you say 5 in Swedish.
5,
Okay.
5, 5.
And how do you
Yes,
say yes?
yes. Ja,
Yo. And how do you say no?
nej,
Nay. Okay.
nej. Yes.
So when I travel around the world, and if I have one of my
Mhm.
friends watching, when my friend, oh, you met my friend Monique that came with me to
Yes,
the okay.
yes.
So no matter where we go, because she's been to countries
Mhm.
with me before, so I like to go to the
Mhm.
marketplace. If I have yes,
Mhm.
no, hello, goodbye, thank you, and I can count
Mhm.
to 10, I can make you do
Mhm.
it.
Nice. Yes. That is a good practice, good tradition. Yes. Very
So
good.
now I have a recording of you. So if I ever come to
Mhm.
Sweden, then I know those things. Oh, and how
Yes, you should come to Sweden.
yeah, okay.
Come to Sweden someday and check it out. Come
And
to Stockholm and I'll show you around. I have friends in Stockholm that can show you around. I think you would enjoy it. You would appreciate the your broadened your new perspectives.
how
Yes, it would be a different kind of yes, and you'll get I think broadened perspective of the African diaspora and its various forms and manifestations.
I believe it. Okay, well, let's jump in. We have a few people here. I'm sure other people will come. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Ifetayo Ojelade. I am a licensed psychologist. I am also the executive director at A Healing Paradigm here in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much for taking this Friday morning and coming and showing up with us. I am super excited about my guest today. I have Dr. Michael McEachrane, who is, did I say it right? Is it McEachrane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was extremely humble because one, and his signature line, no matter where he shows up, he never shows up as "I am doctor." So you just have to kind of like figure that out that he has, he has a terminal degree. But this brother is amazing. The first time that I saw him was at the UN in Geneva in Switzerland, and he was talking about anti-Blackness, and he was talking about history and as it relates to Nordic nations. And I remember when I was first talking to him, and he was very gracious because when I was talking to him and I was listening to his accent and I was trying to place him in the world, and I was like, "Bro, where you from?" And he said, "Sweden." And I was like, "Whoa, Sweden, that's what's up." But Dr. McEachrane has earned his PhD in philosophy from Abo Adekemi University in Finland. Right now, he is a research fellow at Wallenberg, I'm trying to say it correctly, Institute of Human Rights in Sweden right now. And so I wanted him to come on to really be able to give some perspective. And I think particularly because the people that tend to listen to me are African Americans in the US. And I did know that there were African people of African descent in Nordic nations because I had met one person at Association of Black Psychologists conference the first year that I went, but I hadn't met other people. And so it was really powerful just to hear you talk about the experience of being a person of African ancestry. So I want to start out just asking a basic question. Give us a history of how people of African ancestry ended up in the Nordic nations.
Sorry, you broke up a little. So just the last half of your question. Yes.
So how did your people end up in Sweden, and how did other people end up in Sweden and other Nordic nations?
Yeah. So today, the population of people of African descent, Afro Swedes, as is the most accepted term. You know, some of the younger people prefer the term African Swedes, you know, and similar development as in the US. But the most widely used term is Afro Swedes. And today, the population of Afro Swedes, people of African descent in Sweden, are approximately 2 to 3%. And in a population of 10, approximately 10, I think soon 11 million Swedes. And so, you know, we're talking about 2 to 300,000 people, which,
wow,
relatively speaking, is quite, you know, it's quite a lot. You know, it's all relative. In the US, you've got like a Black population of, I think it's like 13% or 15%, something like this. So, of course, it's not at all as large as in a country such as the US. But compared to, say, the UK, which has a Black population of, I think it's like 3.5%, is not, you know, relatively speaking, is not such a big difference. And everyone knows that there's a Black British population. Maybe not many people outside of Sweden and especially outside of Europe know that there's a substantial Black population in Sweden. And if you, you know, if we look at the makeup of like the demographics of the of Afro Swedes, most Afro Swedes are first or second generation immigrants from Africa.
Got it. Okay.
And most, I believe, and also most are, you know, have a first or second generation refugee migrant background.
Oh wow.
Out of So we're talking about, maybe, I can't remember. I did a calculation on this some years ago. I don't think it has changed all that much, but I think it was something like 90% of all Afro Swedes, or 95, I think, even, are first or second generation immigrants from Africa, which, someone like myself, whose father is from Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and my mother is from the north of Sweden. Someone like myself, I'm a minority, then, in
Got it.
terms of, origins and so forth. But, and out of these 95%, I think it's like 60% of all Afro Swedes have roots in the Horn of Africa. So it's, um, Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, yes, these countries, Sudan, these countries.
Okay.
So that is the yes, that is the demographics.
Okay. Tell me a little bit. So you said like the term is Afro Swede, but younger
Yes.
people are preferring African Sweden or Swedish of African
I,
descent.
yes, yes, many, or at least some, I would say many young, they would prefer African Swedes, yes, to Afro Swedes, yes. Hmm.
Okay. And so is that a
Yeah,
political?
it's a political, yes, certainly. They would maybe say things such as, if African Americans went from Afro Americans to African Americans, and African Americans being more assertive, and what have you, and also stressing a connection to Africa and its diaspora. Why should we call ourselves, Afro Swedes, and not African Swedes? But I think myself and some others, maybe we are a little older too, and so maybe, this is the term that we have grown used to. But also, I think we feel that, look, Afro does not refer to a hairstyle. It's the hairstyle that refers to something being of African origin, having an African origin. So African and Afro essentially means the same thing. So is maybe not all that big of a deal, but we that discussion conversation needs to be had. Yes.
Now, so when I think of Sweden, I don't
Hmm.
necessarily think of Swedes as being part of colonialism or the transatlantic
Hmm.
trade of human beings. But
Hmm.
when I heard you talk at the UN, you were kind of calling
Hmm.
Sweden and the other Nordic nations on the carpet because they have this sense of like, see, we didn't participate in that. We didn't we're part of the problem. Have a different view about that. Tell us a little.
Yes, indeed. No, so yes, so the official, if you will, self-identity of Sweden as a nationhood, and how it has cultivated its national identity, its nationhood, um, and also promoted the sort of image it has promoted to the outside world, um, is very much along something like the following. Sweden has never been a colonial power, never really been involved in colonialism. Sweden has never really had any serious racial issues. Racism has never really had a foothold in the country. Sweden has, to the contrary, been anti-colonial, anti-imperialist, supported the anti-colonial movements in Africa, which, to its credit, is true to some extent. So Sweden, for instance, for I believe like 2 decades or so, stood for more than 50% of ANC's budget. Sweden supported anti-colonial movements in Southern Africa, other parts of Africa as well, and was a vocal critic of US imperialism during the 1970s, for instance. Has used to have relatively speaking, generous refugee program compared to other Western countries, and with a generous foreign aid program, relatively speaking, and so on and so on.